I think I found a new one, 'cause the last one ran away, but the setting's still the same. I didn't want a new one, 'cause it kept me insane. Me and my brain. Me and my brain. I need to get a taxi, 'cause the last one drove away. And I'm sure I heard him say, you can't get in the backseat, 'cause you drive me insane. You and your brain. Me and my brain. Me and my brain. Me and my brain. Me and my brain. I wandered down a back street with my mind stuffed in a bag, and I sold it to a man. He asked me where it came from. He said, I've seen these online. What a top find. And now I've got some credit to buy fortune and fame. You'll soon know my name. Who needs a brain? Who needs a brain? Who needs a brain? And now I'm at the top spot. You ask, how does it feel? And things don't seem real.
She's a hot mess on 50 down the highway in the sundress. Want to burn it up, I'm buried witness. 'Cause if she said that I would let it down the barrel of a beretta, oh, I couldn't protest. Reckless, don't mean a thing if you ain't kinda hopeless. As she told me not to waste another moment. No point resisting, giving up control. I'm giving up control. I want it, but you don't know how to let it go. I got it, but you know I never wanna know. I have it, have to drop and never let it go. Got me on the way out, honey, on the way down. You're so personal, call it how you see it. Tell me that you need it. Better when we're tongue-tied than bitter on a bad night. Say it's not personal, what's the point of leaving? Almost off the deep end. So what's a comeback? We thought just a little bit of combat. Clawing up my back, or would you will of that? Would you slip the pillow to run the blade right through? Just for the contact, fuck that. She says that, she throws another shot back. No sweet talk, let's just play it abstract. What's love but the price of being sold? Oh, I'm getting out of control. I want it, but you don't know how to let it go. I got it, but you know I never wanna know. I have it, have to drop and never know. What's the one? It's something like, got me on the way out, honey, on the way down. You're so personal, call it how you see it. Tell me that you need it. Better when we're tongue-tied than bitter on a bad night. Say it's not personal, what's the point of leaving? Almost off the deep end. You're too close and I'm giving up control. Jump my bones, tell me what I wanna know. The things I want so I can never let you go. Yeah, baby, every time you get too close and I'm giving up control. Jump my bones, tell me what I wanna know.
our last calls. Well, listen, Method Man, 'cause if you leave on the last line, don't leave on the brown kind. Boom, just a little too slow.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. I'm feeling good.
Welcome to Oulton Park. Welcome back to the Alpha Touring Challenge. If you thought last week at VIR 52 cars was not enough for you, it wasn't entertaining enough, we've upped the ante. We have crammed 60 cars onto this tiny little British circuit, and we're going to see how it goes. Last week, it was an endurance challenge around Virginia International Raceway, a 1-hour race that was won by Michael Polasek. This week, a little bit different. No pit stops. 2 races. It's a sprint challenge. The first race, 30 minutes. That, of course, is preceded by qualifying, which in this case is closed 4 laps instead of open, like the endurance challenges. So they go out, set their laps. It's perhaps a more representative pace than an open challenge. You can focus down a little bit more for a lot of those drivers. So that sets the grid for the 30-minute race, and then the results from that race set the grid for the 20-minute race. The top 9 get inverted, but otherwise that sets the grid for that final race, and that final race is always a bit more frantic, as drivers in the first race are kind of qualified, typically where their pace is representative of, although not for everyone, as you will see on this grid shortly. But then the 20-minute race, many more people are out of position, so and it's a shorter race, so it's a bit crazier all around, especially with no pit stop, and on a track like this where overtaking will be a challenge. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. All 60 cars present today, and Eric Goldner, he placed 3rd last week at VIR. He's on pole here today alongside former series champion Wojciech Swiatovich, and then it is Logan McKenzie, Matt Zepka, and James Carr rounding out the top 5. That's a great quali from Zepka, getting ahead of Carr, getting ahead of Polasek, who had kind of a worse qualifying than normal. But you say that, and you look at the times, he's in 6th place, only a 10th and a half off of 1st. It's crazy. And then you go 2 tenths back, and you find Ian Bertolucci, another former champion in Micah Hendricks, the Slug, and then Francois Schenk and Hendricks, 2-time champions there in 8th and 10th. They round out your top 10, and then you have Daniel Mills, Anthony Harrison, Matthew Mayer, Damon Mitchell, John Lazon, Connor Acatella, Chris Young, David Thomas, David Bauer, Raymond 2. That is your top 20, and they are not even 8 tenths off of the leader. An insane qualifying, even more insane to think that every single series championship ever won represented in the top 10. Swiatovich, McKenzie, Hendricks, and Schenk. That's all 11 championships right there under that umbrella, so that's pretty incredible. Ken Copeland, Santiago Castillo, and Cooper Akers round out to the bottom of this initial Alpha field, and then you reach the Delta pole sitter. It's Brian Inagaki. He's sitting down there in 24th for 4 OGs, and then last week's Delta winner, Nicholas Bonvincini, is sitting there in 25th. Evan Clavijo, 26th. He was right on Bonvicini's tail towards the end of that race until he himself had a little mishap. Mark Darnell, Spencer Clark, Fuada Rizla, Michael Brooks, Matt Best down there in 31st, and then Brian Son there for Complex Simworks, or Complex Penguin Racing. And then their sister team, of course, is Incident Limit Racing Team, and their newest member is JB Dejoux, and he is sitting there in 34th, right next to Paul Migalajic, and that's a nice little Complex Penguin Racing sandwich happening there in that little spot of the track. A little further down the grid, you see Kevin Clark, Juan Lazart, Brian Saab, Rod Wakefield in his first ATC start as well, Murray, Sedano. Kyle Murray was last week's Delta pole sitter. He's a bit further down the Delta order this time. Where is that in Delta position? He's in 12th. And then you see Sedano, Ost, Bowman, Lynn, Stuckey, Wall, This is Ricky Wall's first ATC start. I'm not sure if it is Stuckey's. It might be. Jacob Wiley down there in 46th. Charlie McCarty in 47th. And Lewis Gilbert in 48th. And we still have drivers to look at because David Schmidt is in 49th. Edward Irving, 50th. That rounds out your top 50. Then Brian Ballard, Jess Rakowski, Tommy Patel, Mitchell Rickmeyer, Craig Lautenslager, and Stephen Cooper. Tyler Roberts, I believe this is his first ATC start. Alexander Patash. And then at the very bottom here, you have Augustin Fernandez and Daniel Smith out of position. What are those guys going to do? They're definitely a bit faster than some of the guys ahead of them. But there are nearly, well, they're not nearly, there's 58 cars ahead of them. So a lot to deal with. We are about to go green here at Oulton Park. Eric Goldner awaits the signal. And the green flag has dropped. We are go here at Oulton Park. All 60 cars pulling away. And Goldner defends all the way to turn number 1 with Waj right behind him as a huge gaggle of cars piles into turn number 1. And they come down into Cascades. Goldner leads them through, but look at this. This is 60 cars. Going by right now. 57, 58, looks like 59 are out on track. So just a lot happening there as you see one of the 40G cars go off and finally everyone goes by. And we look at the leaders here. Goldner, Waj, Mackenzie Carr, Polasek is your initial top 5. And further back in the pack, Bonvicini did eke ahead of Brian Inagaki on the start. And look at this, you have Connor Acatella, Raymond 2, and David Bauer all battling for position. That is 16th that they're fighting for. Up the hill, down the hill, and here they come through the kink, high speed. And it is John Lazon who initially stays ahead, but he goes a bit wide, and that's the danger there. And that will allow David Bauer to come back through. As they head through Druids now, they're starting to splay out a little bit. And we have a car off. I think that may have been Zepka. A few people going wide as they come around through the final corner. And Goldner's going to lead the first lap here at Oulton Park. Look at these guys go. 30 minutes of racing here. Oh, there's a huge group of cars back there. Oh, someone sideways. That's Kevin Clark. People are going to go around him. And that's either Zachary Bowman or David Schmidt who's gone wide. It's one of those cars. Now we're looking in on Francois Schink, looking at the back of the slug, trying to find a way through. Ian Bertolucci ahead. He's tucked ahead of Matt Zepka. It's going to be hard to keep up with this action and see who's side by side here. Oh, we'll throw the intervals up on screen now so you can see the whole field is super close. It's quite compact. And they're still coming through the hairpin. James Carr letting Michael Polasek by. Matt Zepka bump drafting Ian Bertolucci all the way down to the kink. Shoves him right into it and stacks them up behind. Oh, that is a frightening sight. He's looking back there through his rear view. David Bowers pushing Damon Mitchell around the bend. He is all over the back of that SRG Veloster. And Ken Copeland is in a battle with, I think that is Matt Best. This is the battle for 26th. Best staying ahead so far. Coupland's going to have the inside line here through the final corner. And he's going to eke him out, but only for a moment. Here they come, a little bit of touching as they come across the start-finish line. They're going to head to turn number 1, still side by side. And Coupland's going to win out, and just behind, that is Clavijo making a move on Coupland's teammate, Michael Brooks. but I think he's going to have to tuck back in behind. I'm seeing off tracks light up my scoring screen. We're looking back at Damon Mitchell with David Bauer on his back bumper, and I'm seeing David Thomas overtaking Chris Young into turn number 3, and he has pulled that off quite nicely. And Santiago Castillo has front end damage there, so not sure who he ran to the back of that he picked that up from. And Spencer Clark has gone wide, and he has left front damage, and his race may be done. So not sure what happened there, but he collects front end damage. Mitchell Rickmeyer is stuck on the outside line through the hairpin. That's not where you want to be. It's going to cause you to lose a few positions. There's really nowhere to go on the exit of the corner. Just under 5 minutes through this race, and we have seen a lot already. There are still 55 cars attached to this lead pack. Looking at Craig Lautenslaughter running behind Tommy Patel. A little further up there, Zachary Bowman defending against Augustin Fernandez, trying to attack Edward Irving. And Fernandez trying to roll around the outside here. A little nudge, looking for some space. And they're going to come down to the final corner. Fernandez breaks last, breaks late, goes around the outside, and a beautiful move from the ATR Argentos driver. And now we'll bounce further up the field to Juan Lazart, his teammate in the Audi, sandwiched between Brian Son and Gerard Wakefield. This is for P5 in the Delta class, and Gerard Wakefield gets into a little slide, and oh, he's still sliding. Castillo goes off. Who's that off up ahead? That's I don't even know who that was. There's a few cars off there. That's Fuad Rizla, who was taking a trip. So a few cars missing the second at the exit of the second corner there. Finding various places to come back on track. Checking out Tyler Roberts battling for P24 in the Delta class. And there is some kind of incident. Tommy Patel, a huge impact, and his day is over. Looked like he just went straight at the hairpin, and Michael Brooks working around the outside of Paul Mikolajczyk. But Paul's not giving this one up. He'll have that preferred inside line. Can Brooks do anything about it? I think he can. It's a nice run around the outside, and he will complete that overtake. And up ahead, Mark Darnell's under pressure from Ken Copeland. And he's going to have to yield to him. And now Matt Best will be looking for something up the hill onto the front stretch. And he's not going to have anything going into turn number 1. Right now, the Delta leader is Nicholas Bonvicini, running just ahead of his teammate Santiago Castillo. Brian Inagaki's Delta P2. He's not that far off. He's still hunting for that Delta win. Very much in contention. Daniel Sedano going up the inside of Jacob Wiley, and behind JB Dijou goes off track, lawn mowing. Oh, there's a jump. There's a couple of jumps out there, and he'll do his best to rejoin as David Schmidt just ahead was looking for a move, or was getting around actually. It was Jason Lynn who's getting a move made on. Lown Lewis Gilbert with an opportunistic maneuver into the hairpin. Lynn tries to pinch him down, but once a car's on the inside of you there, yeah, it's you'd think it would work like any other banked corner, but the way it's banked, it's hard being that car on the outside. Micah Hendricks battling with Daniel Mills for P9 overall, and Francois Schenck is trying to get involved in this. This is on board with Schenck looking at the back of Mills and Hendricks as they come down to the final corner. Does he look for a move? He thought about it a little too late. This little group is led by the Slug and Matt Zapka. And we still have people battling. Brian Saab and Juan Lazart going into the final corner. Saab on that inside line. I like that inside line. Lazart gets a big slide going. Fuad Rizla gets a big slide going. We saw that in the background. He's going to lose a couple positions off of that. Slipping now to P10 in the Delta class. P36. Remember, the top 40 are the only cars guaranteed points. Everyone else has to finish at least half of the overall race distance to get points for that race. bouncing back up to the front. Micah Hendricks is dealing with a lot of pressure here from the RD Sim Sport driver as he gets his nose right up on the back bumper of the Croc Promotions Audi. And look at how many cars are rolling through Hairpin and that complex right now. Just an insane amount. We saw a car going slowly back there. I think that was a lapped car letting traffic through. So checking back into the front, Eric Goldner has a pretty commanding lead right now. This is a pretty large gap, all things considered. Almost 7/10 over Sawidovic, and then McKenzie has been hot on his tail, and Polasek is even closer to McKenzie. And James Carr has been hanging on to the back of that group. Schink may be close enough for a move here into the final corner on Daniel Mills. Mills has lost the track of Hendricks a little bit. Now Hendricks is on the back bumper of Zepka. Further back in the field, you have Brian Inagaki under pressure from Ken Copeland. He's going to make a late maneuver into the final corner. Beautifully done. Can he finish it off? Yes, he can. And he has done a great job to get around Delta P2 there and move up into P24 overall. Michael Brooks just behind, looking at the back of Matt Best. And I'm seeing a few off tracks here. I mean, these numbers, if these off-track numbers are correct, people are racking them up, especially at turn number 1. Logan McKenzie has, looks like, let Polasek through, so they swap. Car on the back of him. Polasek now a second off of Waj. So we'll see if they can all close up to each other. Waj seems to only be losing track of Goldner here thus far. But still 20 minutes left to go. We could see tires cause different things to develop. Delta leader looking for a pass on Alpha P21 as Cooper Akers defending against Nicholas Bonvicini. They go side by side. A little nudge. Akers was trying to squeeze him. Bonvicini just looking for the space around the outside of the kink, and he's going to touch grass, and he's going to lose out to his teammate Castillo. And here comes Ken Copeland as well, looking to capitalize on that. We'll go on board with him so you get a pay. Idea of the speed difference, and he actually has to back out there. An incredibly dangerous moment. Oh no, and just ahead, there may have been contact between Castillo and Akers, and now this whole group is going to stack up. This is going to get messy. They're 2 by 2 heading down to the final corner. The ATR Argento's cars on the inside line. Can they defend against Akers and Copeland? Castillo goes ahead, Akers goes ahead, Bonvicini, Matt Best, and Mark Darnell, and Michael Brooks have arrived on the scene, and they are all flying down to turn number 1. And here we go. Bonvicini leads the charge. Copeland trying to hang it around the outside. And he's going to hang it wheel to wheel. Matt Best stays ahead of Mark Darnell behind it. And now Copeland goes ahead, and now the Delta leader impacted by Matt Best. Just different speeds on entry. And now he loses out. He's going to slip all the way down to Delta P5. That battle is not over. Mark Darnell goes through. Matt Best going around the outside of the brand new Delta leader, Paul Mikulicek. And Micah Hendricks, no, he's not out. That's just a momentary glitch. And now that the battle for the Delta lead calms down, Paul is in front. Evan Clavijo in second. And you see this huge group. That right there is the Delta top 4? Top 4 cars are in that group. That is insane. And now we go back because this isn't over. We have Fuad Rizla inching ahead of Lewis Gilbert, Nicholas Bonvicini, and JB Dejoux going into the kink. Bonvicini trying to start the bleeding. He's about to lose out to another teammate here. Castillo went by earlier. Now Fernandez slips through as they come to Druids. Does every British circuit have a corner named Druids? I'm not sure. Further ahead, I saw a lot of people taking an off track there. The Slug's still in front of this group. Hendricks has not been able to make any moves on Zepka. Daniel Cedeno is trying to get back at Juan Lazart here into turn number 1, and he'll put a nose in, but Lazart confidently holds that outside line and nothing that Sedano can do, but he might lose out to Gerard Wakefield. And Jacob Wiley's opportunistic here. He goes around Wakefield, and now he'll look in on Sedano and has to back out of it lest he get into the back of Sedano, but he does a good job of doing that. And look at this, Zepka finally loses out to Hendricks on the exit of the hairpin, and that is going to move Hendricks up into P8, hunting down the slug. Damon Mitchell, will he go for a move on Anthony Harrison into the kink? Oh, a late move into the kink, and that's going to result in contact. They were both playing games there, and they managed to keep it together, but this could get dicey. The two cars are right on top of each other, and here comes Connor Acatella and David Bauer right behind. And into Druids, Harrison stays ahead. Mitchell comes off his bumper. Neither of them will be happy about that moment, though. And that is a spicy little incident for P13 in the Alpha class, and they have cars stacked all the way up to P19 behind them. On board with Raymond 2 at the back of this train. And look at this, David Bauer going for a move. He's going to get around Connor Acatella, and they all cut back into line there. Oh, and Ken has front left damage and has had to pit, so he is out of the running. Fuad Rizla is battling Lewis Gilbert still. You think he's losing out there on the exit of turn 1. Really hard to catch these things as they're happening. But look at this, Brian Son. P29 overall, but P4 in the Delta class, battling with Juan Lazart, and Lazart's going to go through. He gets a little bit onto the grass, but it's quite a nicely parked move, and that's going to stack everyone up. Sedano going side by side with Jacob Wiley. Wiley goes around the outside. What a move from him. And, I mean, I don't think Lazart necessarily did anything wrong there, but there's a lot of cars that got stacked up off of that, and well done by all of them. To manage to avoid incident there, and they're all in kind of a 2x2x2 arrangement as they come down to the kink, but I don't think anyone's going to be brave enough to do anything heading into there. Yes, no, not this time around. Looking back to David Bauer, he's still ahead of Connor Acatella, but we'll quickly bounce back to this group because Kevin Clark is under pressure from Lewis Gilbert. The Brit's thinking of sending it up the inside, and he will do it in the Audi. It's quite a send. It'll be tough to get a good exit off the corner, and as you see, Kevin Clark will be able to get back ahead of him going around the outside. He left him the space knowing that it'd be difficult for Gilbert to get any kind of run off the corner doing that, but a valiant attempt. Zachary Bowman behind into turn number 1 on the inside of Tyler Stuckey. These two going wheel to wheel. Stuckey on the outside. He manages to stay out there for the moment, but tucks back in just ahead of Jess Rakowski. And now I see Jacob Wiley falling down the order. He's gone off at the exit of turn 2, and he comes back on in P39. And you see JB Dejoux going to go around him. It's nice to see JB back in the field. It's his first time since I think season 3 or 4. A very old season series vet. So great to have him back. Matt Best could be in trouble here. Evan Clavijo has a run. And he's going to pull out to the right. But thinks better of it going into the kink. He just wanted Best to think about it. And now Harrison's in trouble. Where is this? This is the second to last corner. This is Druids. He's gone wide. He's missing his whole rear, it looks like. Yes, he is. And that car is destroyed. And that's going to benefit a few people here. Raymond 2. Whoa. We cut in there. I saw Raymond 2 having a moment. Not sure how that was happening at that part of the track. But he's going to fight back on Damon Mitchell. Maybe something happened between the two of them, because I think Mitchell may just let him back through. There's still 12 minutes to go here. Mitchell's going to come back at him into turn number 2. Oh, and he will leave 2 the space, but I don't think 2 is going to have the better run here. I'm getting a ridiculous amount of notifications right now. Mitchell goes through, and that is for 15th overall. Checking back in on the lead, Eric Goldner is commanding this race, 1.4 seconds ahead of Waj, and then Polasek is in third. He's close up to the back of Waj, so this is more of a battle for second than a battle for first for these two. And then McKenzie is further off those guys, so unless they start fighting, it'll be between him and Carr for fourth place. And Christian Ost, oh no, something's happened to him. I think it's our first time checking in on him today, and unfortunately, he does not look like he is decent. He's lost his front end. So we'll check back in on him later, but it looks like his race for now may be done. Fuada Rijla, I see front right damage on him as he drops positions going down the front straightaway. Paul Mikolajczyk is your Delta leader still. Behind him, Michael Brooks, Matt Best, and then you see Evan Clavijo is the first Delta driver closest to him. And you see Clavijo can see him just 3 cars up. But getting up there, easier said than done. Behind, David Schmidt is under pressure from JB. JB's going to send it up the inside on the final corner. And I think he'll have the run off it. He does. And that's going to secure P34 for JB. Nicholas Bonvicini is going to try and follow him through here. A little bit of a sand, a little bit of a pinch. Fair play. Schmidt didn't let it happen. A late lunge responded to with a little pinch. That's just TCR racing right there. Waj is under a lot of pressure here from Polasek, and Polasek is going to try and make a move. This is his first chance he's had. He's going to try and pinch Waj down through Druids. Contact between the 80 and the 45 as they head down to the final corner. Polasek has a slight advantage. Can he get him around the outside? He might have the preferred line here. Waj is going to struggle to get a good exit. Oh, on the grass for the Yellow Flag Motorsports driver, though. So coming back to the line, they are still in a dead heat. The 80 on the inside for P2 overall in the race. Polasek goes deep on the brakes through turn number 1. A little bit of contact, and I think that's going to do it. Polasek into P2, and now Waj is going to have to worry about McKenzie and Carr behind. They have caught up during that incredible battle. They went too wide through most of the lap, and now you're seeing Matt Best and Michael Brooks again battling behind the Delta leader, and now Matt Best goes up the inside of the Delta leader. And Mikolajczyk holds the inside, but it looks like Best and maybe Brooks are gonna go through. Brooks really pushing Best into this corner. Both of them just trying to clear out of this Delta battle. Clavijo would love for these Alpha drivers to get out of the way so that he can battle with Paul, but right there, he's right on the back of these guys. He's just gotta wait for his moment to attack, and he can get at them. But it's gonna be really close, and this Delta field is very close. So this whole race has been no more than 2 or 3 seconds separating first and second in that field. And look at this, Agustin Fernandez currently running 29th. He's gained 30 positions in just under 22 minutes. And he isn't done yet, running behind his teammate Juan Lazar at ATR Argentos. He's the only Honda on that team. Lazart and Bonvicini are running the Audi, and it looks like we're going to see team orders as the Alpha driver goes through on Lazart. Lazart tucks back in, and he continues his charge through the field. That's position number 31 for Fernandez. Craig Lawton Slaughter, he is battling for 14th of the Delta class. That's 42nd overall, and Edward Irving is, he's looking to the left of Alexander Batash. And into the kink. They're going to go side by side. He's going to try and hold that outside line. A little bit of touching, and they both managed to avoid an incident. That could have been huge, but Batash stays ahead. And further up, Juan Lazard now under pressure from JB. And these cars are very similar shades of blue. One black, one white. both side by side and heading down to turn number 1. JB will have that inside line. Lazard goes really wide on entry, and that's going to allow JB to cut across his nose and finish the pass up into P30 overall. Michael Brooks battling with Evan Clavijo. Now Clavijo said, fine, if you can't catch Paul, I'll do it myself. I'll send it around the outside of you in the hairpin. And Brian Saab is about to become the beneficiary of this, but also Paul Mikulacek is the big winner here because his lead continues to extend. Matt Best has escaped that group and gotten all the way up to Mark Darnell and Cooper Akers up ahead. Now, Augustine Fernandez is already on the back of Gerard Wakefield. Less than 7 minutes to go in this race. Eric Goldner currently leads. He is looking for his first career ATC win. He would join a list of less than 20 drivers. And look at that, Wakefield backs out as Fernandez tries to go through on him on the entry to Druids, and he does it. And oh, look at this, Ken Copeland going around Juan Lazart. Brian Saab is out of the battle for the Delta lead. Huge rear end damage to him, and that's the second 4OG's car that has been destroyed like that. And he's trying to limp it back, and it's making a horrible noise. Oh no, it's making a horrible noise, and he's just trying to keep control of it. And there's oh no, Tyler Stuckey and Charlie McCarty. They are going to be involved. That is a big crash. And look at this, Matthew Mayer and Matt Zepka. I feel like we haven't been looking at these guys a lot. I don't know if we've mentioned Mayer at all during this race, but he's going side by side with Zepka as they come down to the kink, and he's got the edge on the Veloster driver, and he will eke ahead. But Zepka's going to try and do the over-under, and it is successful for the moment. He'll have the inside line. I preferred that line coming through Druids, but he's not going to do it. He's going to back out, actually, and that's going to allow the Slug to come in, and there may have been a little contact there. The Slug just trying to wiggle his way into that little battle. And checking back further ahead, James Carr still on the back of McKenzie, Waj, and Polasek. And then you have Ian Bertolucci leading the field here from 6th on. That's Hendricks and Schink and Mills behind him. And that is kind of that group. Matt Best is trying to make a move on Cooper Akers. He's been running behind him for a bit. Looking at the outside of the final corner. Gets to do a little bit of a slide, but gathers it up. And I think he got a great exit despite that. And he's going to get around him. Up into P20. And Brian Son losing out to Zachary Bowman now. Bowman up into 5th in the Delta class. And what happened to... well, Evan Clavijo... Oh, Michael Brooks got around both of them. Michael Brooks has cleared the Delta leaders, so now Evan Clavijo is free to chase Mikulacek. And... it's only a half a second gap. I think he's running a bit faster. The battle for the Delta lead is 100% on. Mikulacek has been running very consistent laps here, doing a good job of battling with these Alpha drivers as they work through this. Further behind, coming out of the hairpin, see David Schmidt trying to get around JB Dejou on the right side. He's going to pinch him a little. And here they come up to the kink. You see Jacob Wiley running behind them. Oh, there's going to be a little bit of contact and a crash. David Schmidt spun off. And JB is going to lose out to Jacob Wiley as a result of that little incident as well. Damon Mitchell's down pit lane. I think he has hit the incident limit. I'm seeing a lot of off tracks from him. And he's the first that I've seen to fall victim to this. But we could see more. There's still 2 or 3 laps of racing left here. Where's Goldner on track right now? He's coming down the back stretch. I think this time around it'll be 2 laps to go. This group's still very close together. Polasek never managed to separate from Waj, and McKenzie is right on the back of those two, and Carr not far off at all. Ken Copeland trying to take a position away from Jacob Wiley into turn number 2. Throws it up the inside. Wiley trying to hang it around the outside, but I don't think he's managed to do it. And he's going to lose out there, Copeland up into 29th overall. And now Micah Hendricks under pressure from Francois Schink. Schink on the outside line through Druids. That's tough to do, but he's managed to stick it in there, keep it in there. He's on the left side. I would prefer to be Hendricks in this situation, but let's see if Schink can manage it. And they are dead even. Going down to turn number 1. I have no idea who's going to come out on top here. This is the battle for 7th position overall in this race. A lot of points on the line. The Sia driver on the outside, the Croc Promotions driver on the inside, and the Audi loses out initially and completely. The Veloster driver, Francois Schink, up into P7 here. And now the Slug has to take a drive through for hitting the incident limit, so he's going to drop down the order. And another driver falls victim to that. We see Lazart, he was thinking about a move on Alexander Batash to the kink, but backs out at the last moment. Daniel Mills goes through on James Carr. James Carr has heavy damage. He's had contact. I think they were going through on lap traffic, and the car is destroyed. Waj thinking about a move, trying to come back through here on Polasek, but not able to get it done. Damon Mitchell and Matt Best. Matt Best continuing his climb through the field. He's gained 13 positions in this race alone, and he's gone through on Mitchell right there. Stephen Cooper is in a fight here. This is with Craig Lawton Slaughter and Jess Rakowski. All of them heading down into turn number 1. This is for P36. Plenty of points on the line here. They roll out of turn number 1. Cooper's ahead. Rakowski behind. And then Harrison gets ahead of Craig there, heading down into turn number 2. This is a whole nother group, a whole nother battle that we haven't even been able to focus on this much in this race, because there are nearly 60 cars on track. Alexander Batash going back around Lazard going back around Batash, and Batash going a bit wide off track in his defense. And now John Lazon, as we come to the white flag, he picks up a drive through and will drop down the field. Polasek under heavy pressure. Waj is going to go for something into the hairpin, but Polasek defends it. McKenzie's right there trying to take advantage. They're sandwiching him in. This is the last lap of the race. Cooper Akers is coming down pit lane as well to serve a drive through. All these drivers hitting the 12x incident limit. It's a tight limit. You have to drive very well to manage it. And here they come through the kink. I think Polasek has headed this one off. Eric Goldner, though, last week started off incredibly strong for him. He ended up P3 behind Polasek and Hendricks after an hour of racing. Now at Oulton, he put it on pole. He put it on pole when the top 6 was separated by less than 0.2 of a second. And then he drove away from Polasek. He drove away from champion Waj. He drove away from 6-time champion McKenzie. And after over 30 minutes of racing, Eric Goldner wins at Oulton Park. Michael Polasek P2, Wojciech Switovich P3, Logan McKenzie P4, and Ian Bertolucci is going to come home kind of on his own there at the end of the race in P5. Now let's look to the battle for the Delta lead, because Paul is still ahead here, and Clavijo's right on his bumper. They got 2 quarters to go, and they've got Alpha drivers battling for position ahead of them. Mikolajczyk manages to push Michael Brooks forward and battling for the Delta win through the final quarter. He'll go around the outside. Clavijo's looking for catastrophe, but I don't think he's gonna. Oh, he might get it to the line for the Delta win. Evan Clavijo wins at Oulton Park. A last-second victory for the SRG driver. Unbelievable. And that is perhaps the closest Delta finish the series has ever seen. A heartbreaker for Paul, and I cannot believe it. Mikolajczyk did everything that he could to hold on to that. Going wide to the final corner, though, battling David Thomas, just trying to hold that position. and couldn't get the Delta win. But Eric Goldner got the Alpha win. Evan Clavijo picks up another career Delta win. And that's just one race. We have a whole nother 20-minute race coming at you here shortly. The pole sitter will be Matthew Mayer. And then alongside him, I'm not sure who placed 8th, but we'll find out shortly here. We'll go through the grid. We'll look at it. And we'll come back to you for race 2 here at Oulton Park. Stay tuned. All right, folks, I hope that you are on the edge of your seat for this one, because I certainly am. Matthew Mayer sits on pole with Daniel Mills alongside him on the front row here at Oulton Park. We are waiting for them to kick off, for them to show us the green flag, and we're about to get it here at Oulton Park for the final race of the day. I see a jump start. Matt Zepka has jumped the start, and he's going. Matthew Mayer goes, and he gets ahead of Daniel Mills as they come down to turn number 1. It'll be Mayer leading. Daniel Mills in second, Micah Hendricks third, then Schink, Bertolucci, Waj, McKenzie, Polasek, Goldner, and 2. And here they come through Cascades. Oh, big crash. Oh, that's a huge impact for Damon Mitchell. And I think that's Castillo. And I cannot believe how huge that impact was. Came out of nowhere. Castillo's done. And wow, I feel like I got a little loud there, but just a massive impact. Was not expecting to see that. They roll their way into the hairpin. And with that crash, there are now 56 cars on track. We're still looking at them come through the hairpin. And now we're going to wait and see them come through the kink. And they're going side by side. Mills and Mayer for the lead. Mills gets ahead, but he goes a little wide. Mayer goes slow. Micah's going to get ahead. And look at this. Mills is through the air. He drops behind everyone, but he manages to keep it on the track. And Micah Hendricks takes the lead here at Oulton Park in an incredible first lap. I cannot believe what I have seen. Mayer in P2, Schink in P3. Mills has survived all that. He's in P4. Waj going defensive against McKenzie. McKenzie on the outside there. And here comes Polasek. McKenzie goes a little wide. Polasek's going to look to the right side of his teammate. And into turn number 1, the Yellow Flag Motorsports drivers going wheel to wheel. Polasek goes a bit deep. McKenzie coming around the outside. And I don't think Polasek's going to be able to hold on to that one. Goldner's right on the back of them, though. What do? They all slot back into line. Very close racing. Ken Copeland. Oh, no, we cut back in, and there's problems. Paul into the wall. Oh, Ken Copeland. A huge crash for that group. And everyone's managing to avoid this thus far. I see another car off, though. That is Cooper Akers, who's gone into a bit of a slide. Jerron Wakefield side by side with John Lazan. And into the hairpin, they managed to keep it together, and I need to calm down. Micah Hendricks is still in the lead of this one, but Matthew Mayer is now trying to get back in to that pole leading position. Hendricks defending to the right side. Mayer doesn't look like he's going to attack, though. However, Mills doesn't look like he's close enough either. So we'll jump back. We're looking at Anthony Harrison, Brian Son. Further back there's battling, and we are 2 by 2 by quite a ways. You see Fuado Rijla is leading this little group, and then you have Ken Copeland, Craig Luttenslawer, Murray McCarty. And there's more movement behind as they come. Oh no, big contact as they come through the kink. Everyone's stacked up there. Big damage to Bonvicini, Acatella, David Thomas with huge front end damage. This is a messy race compared to the first one so far. Clearly, these guys are going at it a bit harder. Zachary Bowman and Jacob Wiley battling for position. Jess Rakowski, she is missing her front end. Wiley is going to try and hold the outside here to turn number 1. Oh, contact between him and Zachary Bowman. He goes around the outside, and that was for P17 overall. There is a lot going on right now on track. Oh, man, James Carr looking for a move on Kyle Murray. into Cascades. What's he going to do? He's going to try and set him up for an over-under. He's got a lot of momentum, but I think he may be able to pull it off. Object may be closer than it appears. It's quite close for Kyle Murray if he looks in his rear view. Car's going to try and scare him off the line into turn 3, but it's not going to happen. But he does. Kyle Murray goes wide. They're going to stack up at the hairpin, and that's well done by all of them to avoid an incident there. And Carr's going to get right on the back of him, and that may be it. I think Carr's going to have the advantage heading down to the kink now, and he goes through on Murray, back up to the front. Hendricks hasn't pulled away too far. It's only a half a second advantage, but Mayer's still dealing with quite a bit of pressure here. Schink and Mills close behind. Just under 5 minutes done here. Waj making a move on Ian Bertolucci behind. And Sawidovic moves up into P5, but can he hold on to it? McKenzie's right on the back of these two if something happens. A lot of movement here. And they're all going to tuck back in. Bertolucci stays ahead. And Schink has gone through on Mayer, but they're going to go side by side out the exit of turn 1, and that's exactly what Hendricks wants to see. Mayer goes back through on Schink. He stays ahead into P2. But the over-under, Schink's going to try and get him back. And through the hairpin, there is contact. They're going to come up to the entrance of the hairpin. Schink really wanted that inside line, but he's not going to get it. And Bertolucci's trying to introduce himself to this. McKenzie going around the outside of Waj. Nothing he can do about that there. We're locked into the top 10 right now. There's so much happening further down the field. Kevin Clark and Christian Ost going at it into the hairpin. And Clark is going to have the inside line there. Further ahead, Mayer through the kink. He and Schink touching, but somehow avoid contact. And now through here. This cannot end well. Come on. Mayer on the inside through Druids. Mills trying to keep Waj and Bertolucci behind. Bertolucci finally losing out to Sawidovic. Now they come to the final corner. Mills trying to keep creep in on Mayer. Schink ahead. Oh, they all come to blows, and it's a huge crash and a 3-car wreck at the final corner. They all sweep off the final corner there. And Waj, Ian, and McKenzie and Polisak all go through. Waj and Ian are going to turn 1 side by side with McKenzie looking to go through on one of them, both of them. And they may have made contact here. Let's go on board with McKenzie. Bertolucci may be about to lose out through Cascades. And yes, Sawidovic goes through. Bertolucci manages to keep McKenzie behind. Matthew Mayer has slipped all the way to P15, and he keeps Bowman behind him. Craig Lautenschlager is in P31, P12 in the Delta class, and he is dealing with this huge gaggle of cars here. JB DeJoux is leading it. Zepka's trying to make a little recovery drive here as he goes up the inside of Charlie McCarty, one of the Cavacay Racing crew. And I think he's going to finish that one off. Michael Brooks defending against Augustin Fernandez. Fernandez started 58th overall in the first race. He is now knocking on the door of the top 10 37 minutes later. That is insane. No attack angles for him here at the moment, though. So we'll look back at Matt Zepka, who's looking at the right side of Nicholas Bonvicini into the kink. And, Bonvicini's going to try and hold that outside, and they've both done well there. They both are nursing front end damage. McCarty's having to watch this and wondering where this is going. We've seen Zepka back out of moves here before, but this time he holds the inside. Nicely done for both of them until then. Oh, Zepka's off. Big contact. His day's done. Oh, man. And that causes Bonvicini to lose a couple of more spots there. We haven't really been tuned into the Delta battle for the lead because of everything that was happening up front. Let's tune in now. Let's focus on them a little. Right after we watch John Lazon go through on Michael Brooks, and then McKenzie working the outside of Ian Bertolucci here. This is for the overall podium. they might be about to go down to the kink like this. Polasek is right on the back of Bertolucci. Will he back Bertolucci or will he back his teammate? Here they come down to the kink. This is from the rear of McKenzie. At top speed, here they come. McKenzie cuts ahead. Bertolucci stays ahead of Polasek, and that is well done from all of them. Goldner's going to try and take advantage of the stack up and go around the slug. The slug running in 6th, about to lose out to the 10. The winner of the first race on the inside of Druids. This is great racing. Maybe a little bit of contact. Slug goes out wide, and now Raymond 2 is going to try and take advantage of this. I said we'd check back in on the Delta leaders, but just hold on, because the Slug is going to stay ahead of Raymond 2, and Bertolucci was battling Polasek, and Polasek trying to get ahead, but Polasek goes wide at the final corner. In the winner of the first race, he managed to get up into P2 in the first round. A little bit of contact there, Bertolucci, and he manages to get ahead. Now Bertolucci may lose out to Goldner, and I think Goldner's going to go through before Cascades, and the Slug is not going to have as much room to work with there. He will fight back against Goldner, but Goldner goes around. And now we'll see if the Slug can do anything about this. And Bertolucci is just kind of bleeding positions here. Can he stop it? Can he keep the Slug pinched to the right side? And he does force them all to kind of tuck back in. Raymond 2 very close to getting into the back of the double yellow driver there. And the Slug putting on his windshield wipers there. To let his displeasure be known. Gerard Wakefield, this is his first appearance in the ATC series. His second race, of course, because the first one was earlier today. He's leading the Delta class. How did this happen? Well, we were so focused on the front, I don't know. But he is currently 2.5 seconds ahead of Zachary Bowman. So this is fully on for him. The 72 comes through the king now. He's got Matthew Mayer behind. James Carr continues his recovery drive after that incident at the very end of the last race. Battling Christian Ost into the kink. Trying to go around the outside of the Elantra. And he does. And Raymond 2's had an issue. He's gone off at what looks like Druids, and that's going to allow both RD Simsport drivers through, John Lazon through, and Michael Brooks through. And Chase Young is going to be under pressure from John Lazon into turn number 1. Lazon stays behind, though. Less than 9 minutes to go, so people are going to get urgent here. That's only 4 or 5 laps. You see Akers defending against Rakowski, and this is for P27. Rakowski's doing a great job of battling for these upper 20s spots, considering she's nursing a broken car. But we might go 3 wide to turn 1 with her in the middle. Akers goes around the outside. She manages to keep Murray behind, and just ahead, Irving goes off. Maybe a little bit of contact between him and Fuado Ridgelow. We're not sure. Only saw the tail end of that. And looking back at this, now Rakowski does still have to deal with Kyle Murray, and he's going to send it up the inside. I think he may be through. Yes, he has completed the pass, and now here comes JB approaching the back end of this this little group. And Jason Lynn is a lapped car, I think, sandwich between all these guys. Michael Brooks is going to lose out to Daniel Mills here through the kink, and that's going to allow Raymond 2 to have a run up the hill through Druids. 2 has to take some grass, but he's not backing out. It's a full send up the inside, and he's going to very nicely get around. That drops Brooks into P13. Checking back in on Micah Hendricks, a 3.5 second lead with all the battling behind. And Hendricks is on course to pick up a victory. The Delta leader losing a position to Matthew Mayer. That means there are no cars between him and P2 Zachary Bowman. 2.4 second gap. We'll stay tuned in on that because there's 7 minutes left to go in this race. But Micah Hendricks has, after last season where he didn't win a race, or excuse me, yeah, he didn't win a race last season. His last win was actually round 6 of season 10. And it was the very first race at Okayama. So it has been since February 12th. It's now August 26th. It has been half a year since Hendricks has seen victory lane. A shocker for the 2-time champion. but he might be about to pull it off here, and he's had a great start to the season so far. He had a great round 1 of VIR. He had a great race 1 today. Now he's trying to cap it off. He's got 6 minutes to go. Meanwhile, in the Delta class, you have Gerard Wakefield trying to cap off his first appearance with a Delta victory. And there is no better way to cap off your first appearance. Zachary Bowman, though, is jumping into that gap, so we'll keep an eye on it. Kevin Clark and Christian Ost going side by side, but Ost is going to go around him just before Druids. Bowman is also another wrinkle in this. Bowman's dealing with pressure from Anthony Harrison. I think the smart thing to do is to not fight Harrison too much, and I think he's going to do just that. Wiley comes next. But Bowman now, just from fighting Harrison there, having to let him through, he lost over half a second to Wakefield. So that is huge in that battle, every single one of those little moves. And I just saw David Tomlis. Looks like he lost out to King Copeland. Christian Ost is still defending Kevin Clark. He finished that pass, but trying to make it stick while creeping up to the back of Stephen Cooper. Cooper running P5 in the Delta class right now, so they are fighting for that top 5 in class. Meanwhile, back up front, Ian Bertolucci is just ahead of the slug, and behind them, having gained 51 positions so far today, is Augustin Fernandez. He is running in 8th position. And that is absolutely incredible. John Lazan is under pressure from Daniel Mills into Druids. Mills is going to stick a nose in there. It's a bold move. But Lazan does the right thing. He takes the regular racing line. Drives like Mills isn't there, or at least tries to, because he knows through that corner. Really sending up the inside doesn't quite work. But Mills may send it up the inside through the final corner. It's a bit of a lazy send. And again, can't get it to work. And Raymond 2 and Chris Young are climbing up to the back of those guys now. And we're looking at Rakowski defending against JB. Akers and Murray have kind of left this group. So Rakowski trying to hold on to P27. And she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so cars, 7, 8 cars on the back of her. It's a crazy train that's set up there. It's one of many groups on the track. And Stephen Cooper is now coming down pit lane and pitting and having to pull in. So that's not just a drive-through, I think. Or maybe it is a drive-through and he's accidentally pitted. But that's going to grant everyone behind him a position. And now JB and Rakowski going side by side. But Rakowski holds that inside line through Cascades. But now can she keep it ahead into turn number 3? While this is happening, she stays ahead. Oh, we just cut in as Daniel Mills was trying to get ahead of John Lazan through the kink, and somehow they don't come to total blows. Anthony Harrison trying to make a pass on the Delta leader now, and he has pulled Zachary Bowman all the way up to the front. So that gap is completely gone. Bowman said, okay, I'll follow you all the way up there. Let me see if I can keep up with you. And he did. And now Wakefield has to deal with him. And he's going to go around Wakefield. And the battle for the Delta lead is going to come to blows here. And Wakefield on the outside. Bowman on the inside. And Bowman goes through into the Delta lead with just over 2 minutes to go. There's probably 2 laps left. Let's see where the leader is now. There are probably 2 laps left. So Bowman has just done this in time. And for the second race in a row, the Delta class is delivering absolute thrills here. We've got to go further back in the pack because Tyler Stuckey and Ken Copeland are battling for P31 here. Coming across the line, coming to blows. Trying to put the squeeze on Stuckey is Copeland, and he goes through there. We'll check back in on this group. The slug has lost Bertolucci a little bit. So Fernandez has closed up on the back of the 14. Let's see if he can do something there. And now Wakefield has lost out to Juan Lazart. And he's well off the pace now. Something going on with him. He has dropped 4 2.5 seconds off of Bowman now. So I wonder if he didn't put enough fuel in the car and he's actually been fuel saving or something, because he's well off his own pace. He's well a second off his own pace. So Juan Lazart moves into P2 in the Delta class. And Wakefield's going to lose out to James Carr. Rakowski lost out to JB and is now battling with Craig Luttenslaughter, and they go too wide through the kink, and that's going to stack a lot of cars up here. This is still a fight for 27th. And Daniel Mills has to come down pit lane. I think he has hit the incident limit. A bummer for him after such a good showing at VIR. Oh, Rakowski going a bit wide there, trying to defend, and Charlie McCarty is going to take advantage. He goes through into P27. Matt Best trying to find some positions here. The Alpha driver cutting his way through some of this Delta field. Oh, and that is going to be Rakowski. And she's gone into the wall. That's the end of her day. I'm not quite sure what happened there. The Slug under a lot of pressure from Fernandez. They are on the last lap. This is white flag. So Fernandez knows it's his last chance, but he just can't find anything in the kink. The clock ticks past 20 minutes. Micah Hendricks hasn't won since February of this year. The two-time champion. He has so many wins to his name. He's finally about to add another to the tally. Micah Hendricks across the line at Oulton Park. It's career win number 32 for the Croc Promotions driver, and the Audi is back on top at Oulton Park. It's great to see. Waj finishes second. McKenzie comes through on the podium just ahead of Michael Polasek, and then Eric Goldner in P5. Zachary Bowman out of the final corner. He's fought through all kinds of carnage today to claim his next Delta victory, his first of the season. He's across the line here at Oulton Park. And then, let's see who ended up in P2. Oh, look at this. Gerard Wakefield, I'm seeing is being scored as P2 at the moment. We'll see if that sticks. Brian Sans P3. What happened to Juan Lazart? Didn't he go through as well? I'm not seeing him scored as all. Oh, I am seeing him scored down in 27th. His last lap was 20 seconds longer. He did not go through pit lane, so something dropped him off, and that may have given Wakefield back P2, but we'll see if that sticks, because Wakefield was in pit lane, but Brian Son may have been so far behind that he managed to stay in P2. So Brian Son P3, Ost P4 in the Delta class, and Kevin Clark P5, and Micah Hendricks is your Alpha winner, overall winner for the day, and well done to him. It's well deserved. Second most wins all time, and he adds to that tally just 18 wins off of Savidovich's tally of 50 wins. But still quite a nice number for him. He's been in so many teams, so many cars, so many championship fights. And here he has finally found victory once again in season 12. We will show you the final results here shortly from Oulton Park. I think Hendricks may be about to go do some celebrating, or perhaps the jump. So while the drivers go to do the jump, we'll go look at the results. First off, let's look at the Alpha results. From the first race, Eric Goldner took victory ahead of Polasek, Savidovic, McKenzie, and Bertolucci. Then it was Schink, Hendricks, Mills, Mayer, and Zepka rounding out the top 10. 31 Alpha drivers, 26 of them finish on the lead lap. Some notables, Santiago Castillo up in 16th, doing a great job in what is, I think, his second appearance in the series. Mark Darnell up in 19th, beating guys like Brooks Fernandez, Lazon, Jacob Wiley down there in 24th. Anthony Harrison ended up in an incident down in 26th. And then that's pretty much it for the Alpha field. So let's look at the Delta field for the first race. Evan Clavijo ekes out a victory over Paul Mikulicek. A 10th and a half. And then Gerard Wakefield was way back, 9 seconds off. And then it was Clark Bowman, Son, Lynn, Lazart, Batash, and Irving. Rakowski just outside of the top 10. And then further on down, you see Murray, last week's pole sitter, sitting there in 13th. Charlie McCarty is back to finish 17th in the Delta class. Good to see him again. Nicholas Bonvicini, last week's Delta winner, unfortunately in race 1, ends up 23rd in the Delta class. And in the overall combined results for the first race, there they are. Eric Goldner, as we see Hendricks go off in the background there. Eric Goldner, your overall winner for Heat 1. These are the overall results. That was the results from the first race. Now the second race of the day, starting with the Alpha class. Micah Hendricks back on top, a 2.1 second advantage over Waj and McKenzie. Then Polasek, Goldner, Bertolucci, Slug, Fernandez, Lazan, and Chris Young with a Alpha top 10. Good to see from the RD Simsport crew. Young snags his first career top 10. Then Michael Brooks, Raymond 2. Matthew Mayer, the pole sitter for the second race, unfortunately down in P13. And Daniel Mills, likewise on the front row, ended up in P16. And then James Carr managed to recover to 21st after what happened to him in the first race. Francois Schenck, after the crash, he got the worst of it, ended up down in 27th. So a bit of a downer second race for him. In the Delta class, Zachary Bowman with and we do see here, Wakefield was carrying a penalty. It did get tacked on, so he dropped down the grid. So your actual Delta podium here, Bowman, Son, Ost. Bowman with an 11-second advantage in the end. I'm not sure how representative that is. Everyone else around him kind of immolated at the end of that race. Not to take away from what he did, because he sort of got into the lead and then everyone immolated. Son, Ost, Clark, Murray in the top 5 there. A great result from him. You see Lazart, McCarty, Lautenslager, Stuckey, and then Al Ridgel rounding out the top 10. Bonvicini managed to get back to 11th. Brian Inagaki, the original pole sitter for today, in the Delta class, managed to finish 12th here. Wakefield ended up down in 14th, and the winner of the first race, Clavijo, in 17th. And of course, after all that battling in the first race, Paul Mikulicek ended up in P24 in the Delta class, 2 laps down. Let's take a look at the overall results one last time. Micah Hendricks on top in the second race, then Waj, then McKenzie. That is, 9 championships on the podium. Incredible. Here are the rest of your results. Well, that is going to do it for today's racing at Oulton Park. Round 2 of season 12 has come and gone, and already it feels like season 12 is going by so quickly. Next week, we visit a series staple, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, otherwise known as MoSport, for an endurance challenge with 2 pit stops. It's gonna be a lot of cars on that small little track. After that, we'll take a break, let iRacing push out their updates, and come back with some wet tires on the touring cars. It'll be great to see you next time. Catch us at MoSport. See you then. Good night.